When you're trying to step into your shot and you're ready to swing, you want to feel like you're getting into a tighter coil as that's happening. So if I'm hitting in this direction over here, I've set up, I've got both hands behind this back hip, and now I've stepped in and I'm ready to swing. I've released this hand, everything's ready to go. I don't want my hands to be going at the same time as my hip. So say it's going at the same time as my hip, and say even I allow this to fall back. I'm here, and if this goes at the same time as my hip, it's easy for me to just pull across the shot. If you're seeing it from the front angle, I've set up, and now this goes at the same time as my hip, and I just went across, and I end up kind of falling away off the shot. I want my energy to be directed where I'm going to be hitting the shot. So I want to feel like the hip is actually leading in the shot. And in order for it to do that, it's going to feel like maybe you're pulling a rope that's behind you. So I'm feeling like there's something pulling me from behind my body as this gets tighter into this coil right here. Now I have increased my coil tension and I'm able to drive through this shot. So you can see that I've set up, and now as I'm going to be ready to hit, my hands are staying behind my body in this initial part of the swing. I'm allowing this to increase in coil tension so that I can drive through the shot. And as I increase in the coil tension right here, you can see that my weight is staying directed to where I'm trying to hit. I'm not pulling off of the shot. If you're trying to understand what the coil feels like, we are using a lot more of our lats as we're doing this. The best explanation for understanding what the coil feels like and how we get this lat compression is through the WEC method. I'm going to post a link for you to see how to understand the feeling, how to dive into that coiling perspective right there. So you want to feel like you're here and you're getting into that coil, or I'm feeling like I'm pulling this rope, and you don't want it to just be a result of your arms. I was pretending like I was pulling the rope using the arms. We want to feel like we're doing it because of how our hips are moving. So our hips are driving to our target. If you're seeing me right here, my hips are driving to my target, and I'm trying to keep my hands behind my hip over here. The more that I do this, the more that I've increased this coil tension. Increasing the coil tension is shortening or making a smaller radius of this circle as we're setting up. So the circle is tighter and everything is able to get compressed and drive through the shot. If I just stay up, the circle is big and I get a nice slow swing and I even pull off the shot. If I'm able to have this stay compressed through this shot, I can drive through it, and then I can allow the spin to take effect with how I release my wrist. Instead of having my arm feel like I'm trying to do this to get power and spin. There are no pros that do this shot trying to hit aggressively. There are only pros that do this shot compressing through it and driving through it, keeping their weight through the ball with their weight and allowing the racket to generate the spin as we release the wrist. So that might touch on a little bit of the windshield wiper forehand that I'm not talking about right here. We are only talking about how it feels like I am pulling a rope that's stuck on a fence or something behind me. There's a weight that I'm trying to pull, and I don't want this pull to feel like I'm just leaning into it. A lot of times you're going to first approach this thinking, okay, well, if I'm trying to pull, then I'm just gonna lean forward. You can see that I didn't move my hips at all, and that's not a swing. That probably looks like a lot of your backhands because you're here and then you end up pushing. And look what happens with the arm. We want to feel like the hips are the ones that lead this shot. So if the hips are leading and it feels like we're in the right, or what feels like the right position is that if the hips are leading and we're really pulling some kind of weight behind us, we feel tension in this lead arm. We feel it go from our hand, up our arm, down our back. We are pulling through this, and you can see that it is increasing the coil tension through here. Once again, if you watch the WEC method video on what coiling is, you're going to understand what this feeling feels like so that you're able to keep your weight through the shot as you drive through it. And from that, you have kind of a two-engine approach to power and spin. You have one engine that's using your body weight to drive power, and you have a smaller engine that's just allowing the spin to take effect through the shot. You're not using the arm to do both. So feeling like you're pulling that rope as a result of the hips driving first into this increases that tension, and you can see my hands are staying behind my body as I am able to drive through the shot. If you have any questions, make sure to comment, and I'll try to do my best at answering or explaining what I can.